Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kate and I'm here to share with all my travel tips, tricks and hacks with you guys. If you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below so that you never miss a video, and please give the video a thumbs up if you're excited to travel in 2022. So you're all here because you're like, how do I book a cheap flight? Okay. Now if you've traveled a bit before, then you might already know some of these things, but this is for the people who've just, either forgotten because the pandemic happened and now you're like, okay, how do I even go about booking cheap flights again? Or you haven't done much travel and you really want to get into it because now everything's opening up. I have three main things to factor in when booking flights. Now, a little disclaimer, not all the flights are going to be under like 10 quid. Anyways, so my number one tip is to be flexible. So my favorite tool for booking flights is Skyscanner, if you haven't already heard of it. But being flexible will literally allow you to book the absolute cheapest flight. And what I mean by being flexible is, being flexible on the destination, because certain destinations are cheaper than others to fly to. Being flexible on the time that you go, like the date, because traveling during the week is going to be cheaper than traveling on the weekend or like a Friday coming back on a Sunday kind of thing. Also, traveling in shoulder or low season is going to be cheaper than traveling in high season. All these different factors really lean in to how cheap you can get your flights. So like I said, my favorite tool for booking flights is Skyscanner. So I'm going to insert a little screen recording of my Skyscanner app here. Let's move over. Screen recording. Hello. So my favorite feature A is Explore Everywhere, because if you just say, I want to go on a holiday but I don't really care where, or I don't have anywhere in mind, you can just press Explore Everywhere and it will literally tell you the cheapest flights and where you can go. And then once you click on a country, it will tell you the cheapest cities to fly to, or if there's like, you know what you want to be by the beach, you can select a beach city and then you select that city and it will tell you the different dates when it's cheapest to fly. So for example, you can go for 2 nights to Baden-Baden. I don't know where that is, but it says it's in Germany, for £15 return. So just as an example. So my next favorite feature is when you go onto flights, you can select different dates. So I will actually change this to London, all airports, and you can select the dates and it will show you all the different prices on the dates as you're seeing on the screen right now. So I mean, we got pretty cheap ones, but say if we went from the 5th, yeah, they're all about £16 return from what I can see. But when you click on one date, then it will show you like the return price. So if I go from the 20th to the 27th, it's going to be £22 return, if you get what I mean. But you can see that if I went on the 25th of May, it's going to be £29 and then £49 return, which is actually, still pretty reasonable, but expensive. Like, it just adds up and you can see the exact price on here. So then also using Skyscanner, I will go onto the flight and you can check the different providers. I've booked with so many different providers through Skyscanner and I've never had any issues, and that's what travel insurance is for. So please try not to get in your head too much about booking with this, but everyone has their own experiences and I've had good ones. So the last thing that I like to do with Skyscanner is look at the airline and then look if see if I can go onto their website and see if there's any kind of deals or anything. So what I'm talking about kind of here is, I know with Wizz Air as an example, they have like a flight, like a travel club that you pay like about £30 it's not even that, like £26 a year, and then you get, I don't know, £5 to £10 off like all your flights. So if you're traveling, twice in a year return on Wizz Air, then you've already paid back, what you've already gotten back what you paid plus more savings. So it's always worth it just having a quick look on the airline's website whether they might be having a sale, just because Skyscanner doesn't show exactly those things. But yeah, so that is how I use Skyscanner to book my cheap flights and use the flexible options, which are really handy on there. Next to factor in is getting to the airport, because if you live in London you will know this is actually a pretty big factor, but if you live outside of London or in a different country, it might not be as much of a factor for you. So as an example, it costs me £30 return to get from my house to Stansted Airport, and that is with Railcard discount on off-peak days or times. So if it wasn't off-peak, it would be even more than £30 return. When some of the flights are like £10–15, it kind of seems a bit ridiculous to pay double that just to get to the airport, right? Like, it literally makes no sense. So I factor that in. The easiest one for me to get to is Gatwick. Heathrow is also pretty easy to get to, but flights from Heathrow are usually a lot more expensive. But if you live in the north or whatever, you might like be able to get to Luton or Stansted a lot easier. But I know the Stansted Express is still like £12 even if you go from Liverpool Street or from like Tottenham. So go figure. The next thing that can really easily ramp up the price of your flights is baggage, okay? And you know what I'm going to say about this? You know what I'm going to say. Learn to travel carry-on only. Come on. It's 2022, okay? What are we still doing bringing these ridiculous suitcases or even like a giant backpack? You do not need that much stuff. I promise you. Okay, I guess it's also a factor, especially with cheap airlines around Europe, because for example I know Wizz Air and Ryanair only allow you a free under the seat bag and you have to pay extra for an overhead bag, but EasyJet and Jet2 allow you a free overhead bag. So the reason you need to factor this in is because if you want to travel with an overhead carry bag, the cost of the difference between a Ryanair flight and an EasyJet flight might be less than the cost of adding on an overhead bag on a Ryanair flight. So it can really like add up, these small little things, because you might say, okay cool, I'm going to fly £9 return from Stansted on Ryanair, but I want to take a carry-on overhead bag, so that's going to be an extra £25. I'm flying from Stansted and I live in South London. That's going to be an extra £30. So your £9 flight has literally gone to, quick maths, £64. Isn't that crazy? It was £9, but you've literally now paid £64. Doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't make sense. So the last little thing that you can factor in, and I guess it's to do with flexibility, but it is more of like a sacrifice than being flexible. But if you want to sacrifice your sleep, you can get some of the really cheap late night or early morning flights. Now I would not really encourage this, but the time when I would justify it is if you really had to go on a specific day, but the cheapest flight or the only reasonably priced flight on that day is either really early in the morning or really late at night. It could be worth it because you have to go on that day, but generally I wouldn't advise it. But it is something that you can do because the flights that are at really weird times are going to be a lot cheaper than the flights during the day. Lastly, if you're trying to plan a trip quite far in advance and it's for a specific destination and a specific time, I like to get to know the cheaper airlines flying to that destination before I book anything. And you can sign up to their mailing list. You can do a bunch of things like, look on their website, again, see if they've got any deals, because the cheaper airlines might not always have deals, but they offer things to their email customers sometimes. Or you'll know if there's any kind of deals, you'll be the first person to know before any of the flights sell out. So it's worth like getting to know the cheaper airlines if you're booking a trip that's quite far in advance. So I feel like this video has been quite short and simple, But really, that is how simple and easy it is to book cheap flights, and all the things that you need to factor in to avoid the mounting cost of flights and baggage and travel time and all these different things. Hopefully that helped you. Hopefully it's inspired you to book some exciting travel this year. I know I'm excited to travel, and I think everything is slowly opening up. So give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. As always, I would love to have you here as part of my channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!